For many Americans, the summer of 2024 will be remembered as a time of chaos, with the president Klein suddenly abandoning his re-elect campaign to his vice president, former president, narrowly escaping death as the target of an assassination, and an increasingly dangerous world threatening the homeland. However, there has been one constant amid turmoil. Inflation remains the overwhelming top concern of the country. Focus on economic issues continues to drive this election, which is a problem for Harris, should be a positive for Trump. So it was interesting to read an AP story Saturday about Vice President Kamala Harris titled, "Harris Freshens Up Her Message on the Economy." Remember what I said, she's not going to tackle that word inflation. In the piece, the reporter notes that not once in speeches in Wisconsin, Indiana, or Texas did she mention the word inflation, the overwhelming economic challenge that has dogged Biden's administration and forced him in remarks to consistently acknowledge voters' pain as they cope with higher grocery, gasoline, housing, and auto expenses. But there's a reason Harris doesn't want to talk about inflation. People aren't happy with the state of our economy, economic recovery. In a July 22nd to 24th New York Times Siena College survey, 25% of voters said economic conditions were excellent and good, while 75% thought they were only fair to bad. In the July 21st to 23rd survey, done by The Economist/YouGov, 27% of registered voters described the state of the economy as excellent to good, while 72% described it as fair to poor. In the same survey, a majority, 50%, said the economy was getting worse. Digging deeper, The Economist at U.gov survey found 24% of registered voters identified inflation as the most important issue, with jobs and economy at 9% for a total of 33%. Immigration was second at 14%. No other issue was in double digits. Inflation was even more important for independents, with 32% saying it was their most important issue. In the most recent Winning the Issue survey, July 23rd to 25th, we saw similar results, with inflation at 23% and the economy second at 18% for a total of 41%. Immigration was second at 14%. No other issues was in double digits. The Winning the Issue survey also found 39% approved of how President Joe Biden was handling the economy, while 55% disapproved. But among independents, who were the key in his election in 2020, only 28% approved. That's very low, folks. 64% disapproved. For the past 3 years, Biden has tried and failed to convince voters that Bidenomics is working for them. Now it's Harris' turn to defend the administration's policy on inflation and the economy, issues that will be central to the electorate's assessment of her candidacy. That's a big word. Candidacy. But presidential candidate Harris enters the race with a significant challenge as vice president. She cast a critical vote to break a tie in the Senate and allow the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan to move forward toward a final vote. Had it not been for her vote, the bill might never have gotten to Biden's desk for her signature. Biden and Harris still tout this legislation as one of the centerpieces of their record, but the public isn't buying it for good reason. Every time people buy gas or groceries, they're reminded that it was this ill-conceived legislation that jump-started runaway inflation. And boy, I have to agree with that 199%. Inflation's at an all-time high. 1 month after the ARP was signed into law, inflation increased to 4.2%. This came after the U.S. economy had inflation under 3% for 111 consecutive months. Hats off to Trump on that one. Post-signing inflation has been at or above 3% for 39 consecutive months. In contrast, the $2.2 trillion CARES Act passed in March 2020 had virtually no effect on inflation. Following the signing of that bill, there was 11 consecutive months of inflation under 2%. Biden was handed a 1.4% inflation rate. 15 months after the passage of the ARP, inflation hit 9.1% in June of 2022. Wow, who was in office then? The highest it has been in over 40 years. Keep that in mind, folks. Since Biden was inaugurated, prices have overall gone up 20.1%. Only President Carter back in the 70s saw this level of inflation at this point in his presidency. The last 4 presidents were under 10%. Under Biden-Harris, food prices are up 21.7%, electricity is up 31.6%, and gas prices a whopping 48.7%. Thank you, Biden and Harris. Contrary to what the administration contends weekly wages haven't kept up with inflation, increasing by only 14.9%. In the Winning the Issue survey, when voters were asked which party they had more confidence in to handle the economy and inflation, they said Republicans by a 49 to 39% margin. Economy, and by a 49 to 38% margin, inflation. Yep, Trump was way better under all that. Drill, baby, drill with Trump. And more, all that independent. One of the most difficult things for any political candidate to do is to convince voters that the top issue that they are concerned about is not really the most important issue. Harris' strategy so far seems to be to avoid the top issue, inflation, and instead elevate other issues to supplant inflation. From ending child poverty and lowering drug costs, to stronger unions, paid family leave, gun control, and abortion access. Remember, gun control. She wants to take our guns. She wants to wipe out the Second Amendment. Wants that buyback program. Give you $25 for a gun. By making a case for an agenda that doesn't reflect voters' top concerns is made much more difficult when a majority of voters don't view your favorability. Harris' real clear politics averages 43% favorable and 50% unfavorable. While she has gained some favorability in the past 2 weeks, that is more a reflection of voter relief at the departure of Biden than anything else. Yes, sir. A distraction. Democrats love creating distractions. She will likely pick up points leading up to and through the Democratic convention as the Harris team and much of the media try to reinvent her persona and her past issue positions, but her record and progressive views on nearly every issue make that reinvention a tall order. Just look what she's done in California. Look at all the rioting. Look at all the people she's bailed out of jail with our money. While she has taken a variety of far-left positions, it was her crucial vote that enabled the American Rescue Plan to become law. That triggered a historic inflation that is now the most important issue to Americans. It was a direct result of her action as vice president under Joe Biden. Trump's strategy ought to be twofold. Stop the name-calling and personal attacks. It's not working and damaging his own favorability and the ballot test as well. Instead, focus on making the number one issue the number one issue. Listen, Trump, close the mouth up a little bit. Get out there and tell us what you're going to do. Stop the name-calling. And let's win this election. It can be done, but keep your lips a little tighter. Hit the points head on. Don't let her run away with all these lies about it. Tell the facts, the truth. We'll vote for you. We'll stand behind you, and you will be our 47th president of the United States. You got my vote. Folks, get out and vote when it's election time. Thumbs up, like, and subscribe. See you in the next video.